In the January issue of DC Practice Insights, contributor Stephanie Beck shares her little-known secret to a thriving practice, and her advice just might surprise you. Stephanie, thanks so much for being here today. So, what is the little-known secret to a thriving practice?
I'm so glad you asked, Catherine. Well, the best little-known secret to a thriving practice for chiropractors is always lead with your why. And what I mean by that is so many people get caught up in wanting to say what they do and how they're so great at it, right? But the real benefit and what customers are really looking for, because let's face it, with over almost 60,000 chiropractors in the United States alone, there's a lot of competition out there. And what is one thing that chiropractors all have in common is that they all make adjustments to the body. Right? So what you want to do is really differentiate yourself from your competition, and how you do that is leading with your why, because people, when it comes right down to it, people aren't going to care how much you know until they know how much you care. People want that connection, that personal connection. And so making sure that you lead with why it is you're doing what you're doing is the most important.
That's a great point, Stephanie. Can you share an example of a company that really does a good job of selling their why?
Well, I think a really good example is Apple computers. Because if Apple were like everyone else, a good marketing message that they would use might sound something like, hey, we make computers, and they are beautifully designed and simple to use and very user-friendly. Want to buy one? You know, that's how most everybody else does business. But Apple doesn't. They take it to another level. And here's an example of what they do. In everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. And the way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make computers. Want to buy one? Can you kind of see the difference between the two? They really grasp that concept of leading with their why, and it's so much bigger than just in the business of making computers.
Apple really is a great example. So how does a chiropractor translate their why into something that benefits their patient?
Okay. So how do we, and that's the big key, right? Making sure that they know, getting that translated over. It's not just so much about why you're doing what you're doing, but how are your customers gonna benefit? Okay? How is it that what you're doing and how you're doing it, the reason why you're doing it, how is it that you're gonna make their lives so much better? They want to feel that personal engagement, that connection, and that's really what is going to separate you from everyone else.
That's great advice, Stephanie. Thanks so much for sharing your insights. If you want to learn more about how to develop the why of your practice, check out Stephanie's article in the January issue or visit us online.